What is up, everyone? My name is Joseph, and welcome back to another episode of BossCast, where I find a new way to make people more and more disappointed in me every single episode. But today we're killing Dagannoth Kings, and it's going to be a little bit more of a relaxed episode because I'm a little bit more comfortable with Dagannoth Kings as a whole. It's not anything that I really need to practice up on. I will say the last episode, if you did watch it, was the Zilliana BossCast episode, and I will say that was a bit rough. It's not exactly how I would have wanted it to go, just in terms of the actual PvM content. So I decided to take a little bit easier with this episode. I'm still experimenting with the style I want to go with in terms of, you know, what type of content I do, like what type of PvM specifically I do. So we're going to take it a little bit easier today. We're going to go Dagannoth Kings a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chilled out compared to Zilliana. And we're starting off this specific run very strong, I would say. I mean, we already got a Sears ring. Not a huge profit, but it's something. I mean, I'm happy with anything I can get at this point with all the money I have to dump into Inferno. I am noticing a little bit of lag on my side, but I'm hoping that clears up. It's not server lag, and I've run into this a lot the past few days where my computer just has been freezing up, and I don't understand why, and I gotta say I'm not too thrilled about it, not too happy with it. But yeah, we're just doing a very easy Dagannoth Kings task. I might start flicking a little bit just to conserve prayer. I haven't been up to this point because I'm actively trying to start the episode, and I cannot do more than one thing at once, which you probably have ascertained based on watching me play however long you have. But yeah, not much more you can say about that. Overall, very, very simple task. I do want to kind of clarify something. If these videos aren't intended to be guide style videos, so I'm a little bit more lenient with myself. Usually when it comes to a video, I'm very strict with myself. Like, I want to make sure the content within it is as perfect as possible. But with these episodes, this series, I'm a little bit more relaxed. So that's why you might see me fail a little bit here and there or do things incorrectly. But I mean, that's what you got to come to know and love with me. You got to understand I'm absolutely terrible at this game. And it's to be expected. You guys only have to watch it a little bit. I have to deal with myself every single day when it comes to this game. I mean, I don't get a day off. You know, I turn this game on, and I gotta deal with myself, and it's rough sometimes. I don't know how other people, I don't know how they deal with me. I don't know how you guys watch me. There's a few people who show up to my streams every now and then, and it's rough. Believe you me. I was called Novice once. I still think it's probably the best critique I've ever had of myself, and I've not stopped talking about it since I got this specific piece of critique. But I kind of joke about me being novice, and honestly, it's just so very true. When it comes to this game, I am incredibly novice. I mean, this restore almost disappeared. I'm knowledgeable to a point, but there's just some things where I just completely fall flat on, and I don't know how you guys can stand it at all. It's probably why the last video didn't do so well. I kind of stepped over the line in terms of what's culturally accepted when it comes to inefficiencies on RuneScape, but I digress. But in general, I have been enjoying the series. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast style of content. I really don't have much to talk. I should have come up with a plan. I don't have a lot on my agenda to talk about today. I am kind of excited for old school RuneScape mobile. If you guys haven't heard, then I'd be very surprised. But the mobile version, the beta was released recently. I don't know if anyone here follows many people on Twitter, but there was a huge outcry on Twitter over the way it was released. I personally didn't see a problem with it. What happened was, if you were not aware, they released the beta for only Android, which I guess wouldn't have been a problem if they had told people that it was only going to be on Android. I don't see how it would have specifically made a difference because, I mean, if you have an Android phone, you would have signed up with Android. If you had an iPhone, you would have signed up with Android. But people were upset over it, and That was a huge controversy. I have no problem with it. I wasn't invited to the mobile beta. I didn't really expect to, and they said it was only 2,000 people. You know, your chances are just incredibly low. I can't say I'm necessarily disappointed with not being invited, because I'm not a huge fan of beta testing products. Not because I don't like giving feedback. It's because I don't like dealing with issues, I guess. This guy's not trapped, is he? Oh, he was trapped. That gave us a chance to pick up our super restore anyway. Well, you're not trapped again. But I'm not necessarily disappointed I wasn't part of the beta. I mean, I guess it would have been nice to play a little bit of old school RuneScape on my phone. But I just gotta say the outcry from people was just absolutely surprising. People are just very, very upset about that, and I don't understand why. I mean, on one hand, it is a beta. You got to understand that, you know, it's not a full release, so you can't expect to be invited, and you know, it's not a full release. There's gonna be problems with this, so it's not something that they are expecting everyone to just hop on and play 100%. I know they want a lot of feedback, but I just feel like people are treating this like they're restricting the full release, and it's a weird thing to. I guess we'll drink a dose of this and drop it. It's just a weird thing to get upset over, in my opinion. But yeah, old school RuneScape mobile is coming out soon. It's pretty exciting. I'm happy for it because it'll let me do skills that I normally don't want to do, especially while editing. I don't normally do things while editing because I just forget. It's up on a different screen. So having it on my phone will let me kind of just like put it right in front of me at all times. And I'll be able to do things that I don't normally like to do, like fishing, because I think it's going to be really good for fishing. So I'm pretty excited with that aspect of it. And I'm looking forward to being able to get a few more fishing levels. I just realized I never potted up on range potions. That's unfortunate. I should probably start praying a little bit more, I should probably start flicking rigor. These kills would be much smoother in general. I've just been not paying attention to my prayer. It's nice to not have to fully pay attention to my supplies and, you know, my surroundings 100% of the time. It's kind of nice to just be able to sit back and relax and take a step back and not have to like constantly always worry about what's going on around me, which is something that I generally have to do with like the Inferno or something. And it's kind of nice to just be able to relax a bit. Like even here, I messed up a little bit and didn't kill it fast enough, but I'm not. It's not a worrying thing. So it's nice to kind of do a little bit more relaxed style PvM. I gotta say, I'm a fan of it and I'm in favor of it. So no complaints here. Dagannoth King is probably one of my more favorite bosses. That's probably not the right way to phrase that. It's one of the bosses I enjoy to do a little bit more because it's so profitable while being so absolutely easy. I used to be scared of DKs when I like first started getting into PvM. Like DKs were like the first boss that I ever like looked at and said, you know what, I gotta try this. And I was so nervous my first few times. And I remember the first time I came down here was for the Elite Diaries, actually, because I made a point to not do Dagannoth Kings until I finished the Elite Diary so that I could get the Noted Bones, which, by the way, is 1,000,000% worth it. If you're doing Dagannoth Kings without these bones, I don't know how you can stand it. Not be just letting that 9K just stay on the floor every single kill. I don't know how you can do it. It's definitely worth the time spent rune crafting. It's worth a little bit of cancer to get the payoff, I will say. But my first kill down here it was an absolute mess, and that made me even more scared because I kind of went in a little bit blind because I have this thing I guess lazy is a term that could be used for my approach to this game sometimes. I just didn't bother to look up things in game. My one dose restore just disappeared on me. Not because I think I'm good enough at this game to do well enough. It's just like I don't learn well by watching a video, which is ironic because I make a lot of guide type videos, but I don't learn well through video. So it's hard for me to know. Like I can look up the mechanics and learn the mechanics, which is what I ended up doing for for DKs, but I was just completely unprepared for it. And my first trip down here, I didn't die, but I got very close. I didn't actually kill all 3 in one go, because I would say just the hardest learning curve for this boss is the initial like climb down that ladder when you have all 3 of them alive. And that's what really like threw me off. I killed Supreme, I think, and then I just tellied out immediately. And that made me even more nervous. And I was like, why am I even doing these diaries? I'm not even going to be able to kill this boss normally. I'm just like, I just should stop now. And that was almost the end of my old school RuneScape PvMing adventures right there. And I decided to give it one more try. Went back down, killed the other 2, and I was able to do like a full rotation cleanly. And I was a little bit more confident, and I was like, all right, I can maybe do this consistently. And I was off task, I believe, when I did that, so it was obviously a little bit more difficult. And I got those 3 done. But then my first real DK strip, I had, with the task, coming down with a full gear setup, because the first time I came down was, obviously my inventory was only set up to get those 3 kills. So I had a lot of food, not a lot of restores, etc. And my first real trip down here completely changed my opinion. I gotta say, if you've never done Dagannoth Kings before, you gotta do it. It's probably one of the more low level. I'm just realizing I'm not even switching my necks right now, which is probably bad. It's probably one of the more easier or low tier of the high tier content. So a lot of people wouldn't consider this end game or high level content, but I would say it's an introduction to high level content. It is much safer than a lot of other bosses or end game things to do. But I would say it gets you a start, gets your foot in the door, and it's super fun. Once you get the flow down, it's so smooth. You don't really have to worry about anything. And you might have a few times where, a situation like this where multiple kings are alive, but it's not really anything you have to worry about after your first few trips. You'll get so used to the rotations, and it will just be so easy, and it's just so relaxing and enjoyable. And I think that's one of the things that, for me, is important for at least getting into the end game. Because up until whenever I did my first DK strip, it had to be, this summer, July. And, this is first... I've never done any type of high-level PvM at all up until this point, including a fire cape. I got my first fire cape this summer ever in RuneScape history. Never back in the original, old school RuneScape back in 2007, 2010. Back RS3, I played a tiny bit of RS3, never had a fire cape. I had a fire cape, but the only reason I had one was those insta-kill darts. I don't know if a lot of you remember, but there was one summer promotion where I think if you bought 3 months of membership, you got these 4 darts that would automatically, one-hit a boss, or just anything would one-hit anything. So I used it on Jad, because I'm not good at this game, and I don't have any high level PvM experience. So I get to this summer and I'm like, you know what? I want to start doing some content that's a little bit more higher end. I want to start doing some PvM, get away from the skilling, because that's usually what I would default to, is just skilling. Because I'm on the spectrum enough to sit down for 15 hours in a row and just skill. So I decided, I'm going to get into a little bit of PvM, try my luck at it. And so Dagannoth Kings were my first real PvM experience. And I got to say, it gave me the desire to learn how to PvM more. And I'm not good at it by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I'm anywhere near good at PvM. I'm still not switching my necks. Every time I go to kill Dagannoth Prime, I realize I'm not switching my necks. Anyway, I'm nowhere near decent, or maybe average level at PvM, I guess I would attribute to myself, and that might be a little bit generous. But it all started with Dagannoth Kings, and I gotta say, if you've never done them before, it's such a good way to get yourself into PvM, because it has a learning curve, and the learning curve for maybe a first-time PvM experience is a little bit steep. There is a possibility of death, which I think is, can be a little bit scary, but also it is easy enough to where there's a trade-off, but it's not like risk reward. Like you're taking such a huge risk and you're going to get such a huge reward. It is a little bit lower of a risk. Once you get the flow down, once you get, 2 cycles of these bosses down, it's like you have the flow down. It's a little bit easier. You can manage it, and the risk is a little bit lower, but the reward is huge. You can make so much money here, especially with Valley Elites. It's kind of low risk, medium reward, maybe medium risk, medium reward. Like it's got a good trade-off, and it's really good for getting yourself into PvM. I mean, it did for me. And now look at me now. I'm doing Sarah trips, completely ignoring basic mechanics, and getting 4 kills a trip. No, I'm a little bit salty about that, as you can tell. I'm not proud of my Sarah trip, but I digress. I know I've already talked about that today, so I'm gonna not dwell on the past, because if I do that, oh boy, you better believe I'd be pretty upset with myself. My past is something that is, people talk about having cringeworthy pasts. Oh boy. Mine is, I gotta say, my past, like me as teenager me, is probably worse than any of you. So let that be an encouragement to you. If you're ever looking at your life and thinking, wow, like I'm a mess of a human being, you're not. Compare yourself to me, and I guarantee you will look like a goddamn saint. My high school and even early college me was just not what you'd expect at all. I even just like the way I presented myself and just looked in general, like you would not. Oh my god, I keep forgetting to switch my neck, and there's got to be one thing per video that I just mess up on. Right now it's going to be my neck switches, and not praying, but that's beside the point. Anyway, I'll show people just like pictures of what I looked like, or like things that I did when I was, 16 to 20 maybe. And it's bad. It's bad. I'm trying to think of like examples, and it's hard to pinpoint one thing specifically, but I mean, there's times in middle school, like I was that weird kid. And I mean, I still might be what you would consider not normal, below average on the normalcy scale, but I can at least conduct myself in public well, or at least enough to the point where people don't inherently look at me and say, wow, that guy's got problems. I cannot say the same about past me. Past me was a mess. Absolute mess. And it's to the point where, and you can't feel bad for me because I did this to myself, but like I was just so socially inept to where like at school, I had, at college, I had no friend, like I did nothing except sit in my room, and it's pretty embarrassing. And it's like, I did it to myself, but I don't know how I got on this rabbit trail, but past me is it's not a person I'd like to be around. That being said, if you feel like you're depraving yourself of social activity, you are not worse than what I was. I can guarantee you that. If you can hold a normal conversation with another human being, you're already miles ahead of where I was. I should have spec there because we're capped at spec, but I don't think I've ever run into this situation before, but I don't think I brought enough anti-poison. I don't think my anti-poison will last me the trip. And I don't even know if like using boosting prayers will even help, because these guys are on a timer. I guess if I kill them faster, they'll respawn faster, but I think like that's what's gonna make me end this trip is the fact that I only have so much anti-poison. It's just annoying, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, is 2 Sanfus enough? Like, is that gonna last me my whole trip? And I was like, nah, that'll be fine. It's plenty. You'll run out of other supplies way before that. I've used 4 doses of Restore only because I'm specifically not flicking out of laziness. And that's it. And I've already used 3 doses of Sanfu. Is that what it's pronounced? Yeah, Sanfu. I always get nervous about the fact that I'm possibly pronouncing things incorrectly. I pronounce things terribly all the time. Like, if you haven't noticed, I use the novice meme a lot. And it's not pronounced novice, it's novice. And I know that. And in my head, I realize that I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I can't bring myself to pronounce it correctly. There's just so many things that once I get it in my head, like to pronounce something one way, it's so hard for me to pronounce it a different way. Now, Herb is not one of those things, because I know that's a hotly contested issue. And I've talked about that in one of these episodes in the past. And herb is not something I will ever change my pronunciation of. Pronounce it herb, and I will not be saying herb, because the H is silent. I will take that to my grave. But there are other words that I definitely have issues pronouncing. I like how I miss with both SGS specs, but I kicked him. I should have potted up first instead of potting up now, but whatever. But yeah, Novice is a really good example of something that I use regularly, because it's a more or less a self-made meme of myself, and I pronounce it Novus every single goddamn time. And I don't realize I'm saying it until like directly after. I like sit back and think of the last sentence I said, and I'm like, I pronounced that wrong. I look like a fool, like an absolute buffoon. All right, we're killing this guy really slowly. I should probably just put piety on for the fun of it, just to kill this guy a little bit faster. I'm pretty upset that both my specs missed. And not just that they missed, but also that the freaking unarmed attack hit. It's a little annoying. I don't know why I even brought blood runes. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've actually done a DK's run while I've had the Sarah Godsword. Because I used to bring blood runes because I needed to heal. Although now I'm hitting, my Sarah Godsword is not hitting anything, and I don't need to heal. Largely in part to the Elysian Spirit Shield that is totally mine, that I bought with my own money, that I'm borrowing. No, that's probably a large factor, not taking any damage from the Spinalops, whatever those guys are. Not taking any damage from them is probably the biggest contributing factor to me not having to heal up at all, but I'll attribute it to my my better PvM knowledge and expertise. Which is probably a bad thing to attribute it to, because why am I doing that? Oh, because my inventory's full. Bad thing to attribute it to, because then people will think that I'm actually good at PvM when I'm not. I gotta stop pretending that I am, because people might actually start believing it. All right, so hopefully we can hit our next SGS spec. If not, pretty disappointing. 3 zeros in a row is pretty sad. That's actually making me use my restores. That's actually making my restore to Sanfu ratio look a little bit better. Although I'll have to chug another Sanfu here in a minute. We only got 30 seconds of anti-poison left, so we'll have to account for that. I'm trying to like not drink anything until that anti-poison runs out, but it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to drink here. And what I'm gonna do, for the sake of inventory, we're gonna do that. Don't hate me, because I might overdo it. So I'm gonna spec here, and then we get a good spec. I wasn't even wearing my torture. I'm really bad about switches. Yeah, it's such an easy thing to be better at is switches, but I'm so incredibly bad at them. But yeah, by the time we need a Sanfu, we're not gonna be minus 30 prayer. So let's drain a little prayer. Let's use piety here, and that'll also help with the defense against Dagannoth Rex. So overall, I think it'll be a positive waste of supplies, or waste of prayer points, resources. There we go. A positive use of resources. I'm not going to call it a waste, because it's it's not a waste. If I don't take damage, or take less damage, that's the correct use of those resources. The main point of prayer is to take less damage. So if I'm taking less damage as a direct cause of prayer, then it's working as intended. I actually might use a blood spell here just to heal up a little bit. I don't think I really need to, but I mean, I might as well. I brought him. I might as well use it, right? In theory, the SGS should be enough to heal me up, but I don't think my my health is matching up very well with like when I need the, or when I can actually use the SGS specs. I usually have pretty good health going into the Supreme kill, and then needing it later on. Although the only time I really take damage is when I mess up. It's when I mess up the kill speeds, basically. Inventory is my least favorite thing in this place. I actually take an anglerfish when I come down here just so I can eat it to free up an inventory spot. I know I guess I could drop my brew, so that is another inventory spot I could clear up. But I got into a habit of taking an angler, so when I come down here initially, I can have extra HP or just free and easy HP without having to use Blood Barrage. But I really honestly just use it for the fact that it's going to give me an inventory slot. Oh, he's not coming over here. I guess I could just keep Rigger on. Oh, now he's coming over here. They're off ticked, though. That is the first time that I've run into that today. I usually run into that quite often, and I have to actually focus on prayer flicking between the two, but it hasn't been much of an issue today. Maybe it's just been, and they've both been alive at the same time. I think it's just been the fact that I've been standing in good spots, which has been the reason why they haven't lined up like that. But I've been taking almost no damage, which I think is not anything to brag about, and it's more of just something that should be expected. In general, I shouldn't be taking really any damage at all from these guys, but I don't know. We'll throw Piety on here for a sec. And now we are going to have to actually heal it because I was too lazy and neglected the fact that I needed to actually use prayer against this guy. I'm not too upset about it. I brought the runes. Why not use them? The only problem with this is I have to manually cast it, which is just so much extra. I actually have to have my hand on the mouse. I've been talking with my hands for a majority of this video. If you don't know, I am mostly Italian in nature, and if you don't know anything about them, then you don't know that they often talk with their hands. But now you know, and I am of that kind. I talk with my hands very much. I've hit my mic before while talking into my mic, just trying to talk. Like I'm just trying to explain something, and I just talk with my hands and hit my mic, and it makes me pretty upset because it comes through on the microphone as just like something hit it, and it was my hand. But it's hard to go back and negate 23 years of talking with my hands. It's hard to just like stop. It's a hard habit to kick. I'm getting so bad, and I'm gonna keep talking about this until this video ends because I'm not gonna remember. I'm getting so bad about my neck switches. It's probably because my inventory is not what I'm used to. I'm used to like everything being exactly where it needs to, because that's how I usually have it set up for like the Inferno or something. And now I'm just like switching in this block of 4 right here, and I'm not like paying attention to the things that are on the outskirts. You know, the occult necklace, or if my torture was here, I just completely forget about it. I tunnel in way too hard, which is probably something that's not super ideal, especially when I'm doing something that's like I'm used to or accustomed to. I understand and I promote tunneling when you're doing something new and you want to kind of just focus on one thing and remove as many distractions as possible. But I shouldn't be tunneling at this point in my life for things like this, because I should be at the point where I don't have to focus on one thing specifically, and I can broaden my horizons just a little bit. But you know me. I always like to handicap myself by not doing things the easy way or the correct way, and just be a little bit less efficient and overall a little less better, a little less good at that thing in general. So I don't know how long I really want this specific episode to be. I'm thinking I might want to wrap it up here in a little bit because, well, really it's already been pretty lengthy episode, and I'm running out of things to talk about, and I'm running out of prayer points, running out of things to talk about. My topics to talk about directly related to the prayer points I have. So dropping prayer points signifies, I guess, the end of another BossCast episode, because I guess I'm officially out of things to say. But I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. I am actually going to end it here because I kind of just like felt like turning the mic on and just talking. I had some time. I was supposed to stream tonight, but I got a little bit too busy for that, so I decided to just turn the mic on and see what comes out of my mouth. And the last however many minutes is the answer to what will come out of my mouth. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. I can't think of words right now. My mind just went blank. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Next BossCast video will probably be Inferno, because I do need to get back to grinding that out more often and stop taking these little mini breaks. So next episode will probably be an Inferno episode. But that is all I have for this video. And we're going to close off the video with a proper neck switch. But I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I will see you next time.